It was supposed to be just another heated debate in the National Assembly. MPs were bracing themselves for verbal sparring, policy disagreements, and maybe a few personal jabs. But no one was prepared for what Gayton McKenzie would deliver. Standing tall, fierce, McKenzie calls for Ramaphosa arrest and unapologetically direct. He took the floor and declared what many in the opposition had only dared to whisper in private. Ramaphosa must be arrested. Enough is enough. We cannot build a new South Africa on the ruins of corruption, betrayal, and lies. The chamber erupted instantly. ANC benches were a mix of shock, outrage, and stunned silence. Some shouted McKenzie down. Others sat frozen as if the very air had been knocked out of the room. Within moments, order in Parliament collapsed into absolute pandemonium. McKenzie's call for Ramaphosa's arrest was not made in a vacuum. His fiery demand followed weeks of rising pressure on the president after a series of leaked documents and legal whispers alleged Ramaphosa's involvement in dubious financial dealings, constitutional violations, and the controversial failure farm saga. But what turned the rumble into an explosion was the confirmation of an international investigation into Ramaphosa's activities abroad, particularly regarding undeclared assets and possible money laundering allegations. McKenzie claimed to have first-hand access to evidence that ties Ramaphosa to offshore transactions and secret accounts, accusations that the presidency has so far denied or ignored. The people of South Africa deserve better. McKenzie said they deserve a leader who is not ducking arrest warrants or hiding behind executive privilege. The immediate impact was felt within the African National Congress itself. The ANC divided. The ANC, already grappling with infighting and declining public trust, has now entered full-blown crisis mode. In response to McKenzie's call, the rift inside the party widened dramatically. Some senior ANC members sided with McKenzie's sentiment, admitting off the record that Ramaphosa's legal troubles are becoming a political liability. Others, however, stood firm in defense of the president, calling McKenzie's statements treasonous, baseless, and political opportunism. The split isn't just ideological, it's generational, regional, and strategic. Veterans of the liberation struggle who see Ramaphosa as a stabilizing force are clashing with younger reform-minded MPs who believe the ANC must distance itself from scandal or face political extinction in the next election. The Speaker of the National Assembly attempted several times to restore order, but the damage had already been done. Screaming matches broke out, with members accusing one another of betraying the constitution, shielding criminals, or using Parliament as a political theatre. For the first time in years, Parliament resembled a powder cake of raw emotion and political brinkmanship. And at the centre of it all was one man, President Cyril Ramaphosa. In the midst of the chaos, McKenzie refused to retract his statement. "I said what millions of South Africans are thinking but are too afraid to say," he declared. Ramaphosa's silence. The emperor has no clothes. Ramaphosa has failed this country. Perhaps the most deafening aspect of this political firestorm is the continued silence from the presidency. As of this recording, President Ramaphosa has yet to respond to McKenzie's accusation, the evidence cited, or the growing calls for transparency. This lack of response is fueling even more speculation. Has he been advised to stay silent due to pending legal action? Is the ANC strategizing damage control behind the scenes? Or is the silence an admission of weakness or worse, guilt? Civil society organizations, youth movements, and community leaders are beginning to organize protests, with many planning to march to the union buildings demanding accountability. "We cannot be led by a man who hides in the shadows," said one activist. "If he's innocent, let him face the music. If he's guilty, he must go." One thing is clear, the people are awake now. The veil has been lifted. Conclusion. Whether they support Ramaphosa or not, citizens across the country are beginning to ask harder questions, demand better answers, and refuse to be silenced. The court of public opinion is in session, and this time there may be no escape for those at the top. This is a developing story, and what we've witnessed so far is only the beginning. There will be more statements, more denials, more political spin, but the truth as always has a way of coming to light. Will Ramaphosa finally break his silence? Will the ANC survive this internal rupture? Will South Africa's democratic institutions hold the line? We'll be covering all of it right here. So, don't miss a moment. Hit that subscribe button now. Ring the notification bell and make sure to share this video with your family, your friends, and everyone who still believes in a better South Africa. This is not just news, it's history in the making.